to run for the class of 2029 Cabelli Senate seat. My name is Henry Karstens from Omaha, Nebraska. I'm a major. I'm in the Cabelli School of Business. A couple things about me. Part of a couple clubs here on campus. I'm part of the Finance Society, the Value Investing Club, a couple other finance-related clubs. On USG, which is what I've been serving for the past year, part of the Committee on Sexual Misconduct. I'm part of the Communications Committee. And in terms of what I do for those, for the Communications Committee, I scribe meetings occasionally. And we write things. I'm trying to fix the LinkedIn, but we gotta get the login for that. For the Committee on Sexual Misconduct, we're here on Fordham to foster a culture of consent, keep people safe. But a little bit more about what I've been doing in the Senate specifically. Maybe a couple of you guys are aware, I'm trying to get contraception on campus. That was something I ran on when I first started in USG. And I would like to say that we're probably on the verge of getting that thing of the student handbook changed. We passed the proposal today. It was worked on by so many professionals, so many people that I'm very thankful for their help today and throughout the entire semester. I also ran on getting registration websites better, and I recently got an email from the IT department that they have all 3 products in them that we get to look at which product we want to replace the crappy registration website that we have now. So I would like to think that I've been very successful as a senator, and I would love to run again and keep pushing initiatives on campus in terms of a little bit of what I want to do. I want to continue the contraceptive amendment as well as getting contraception on campus, because it doesn't just stop with getting the verbiage amended, it also goes on to who's our sponsor going to be, And then a couple other things, like I recently was able to work along a couple people and organize a town hall for USG. I'd like that to continue happening. I think people like it when USG is visible. I'd like to keep planning these things. I'd like to keep ordering Chick-fil-A. And then a little something new that I want to work on in terms of health and distribution on campus. I'd like to get Narcan boxes in every dorm. I think it's ridiculous we don't have them already. Yes, Fumes has them, but I think for something such as overdosing, it would be nice to have it immediate. But yeah, that's just a little bit about me. I'd be happy to talk to anyone here, talk about condoms with anyone. But yeah, that's just a little bit about me. Thank you guys.
Hello.
Nice to speak with you. So first, this is a question I'm kind of going to be asking everyone. What do you think is the current biggest issue concerning Fordham students?
I'm a little biased, I'm not going to lie. I have done a lot of research, and I would like to say the biggest issue is definitely sexually transmitted diseases and STIs. I think we are a campus that is disproportionately affected by a lot of health issues, and I would love to continue working on initiatives that protect students, whether it's information or whether it's getting contraception on campus. And I mean, that sounds like such a political answer, but at the end of the day, it's like, that's something I've been working on. I'm very passionate about that. So.
Yeah. And so you said that you want to continue your contraceptive policy proposal and get contraceptives on campus. How would you do that, and what would that look like?
So in the coming weeks, we just passed the proposal. So we're going to talk with Dean Williams, who will probably give us some suggestions, and then we might defer us to Board of Trustees or whoever is above them. And then we're gonna have to keep pitching it. It's a constant effort. It's going to take time. And I mean, obviously it's such a delicate issue. So likely we're gonna keep pushing for that, talking to administrators, talking to people to try to find a middle ground or a compromise that allows us to get contraceptions on campus, but that also doesn't throw off the image or whatever the criticism might be. And then after it's done, then we'll try to get someone to sponsor the thing or someone to be a provider for this contraception and make it maybe a passive deal, maybe it's an active deal, whatever it turns out being with what is amended. So yeah, so next year hopefully we'll be able to maybe have a bowl of condoms in the bathroom or something like that.
And then regarding your new proposal that you want to start with getting Narcan distributed on campus, What kind of collaboration would that require with the administration, and how do you plan to go about doing that?
Right, so I'm thinking, and this is still in the thoughts, I'm still brainstorming it, but so they just got menstrual products in each of the dorms. I don't know if people have seen that, which is awesome, by the way. I was like, let's go, we're gonna put condoms in there soon, maybe. But I think the best way to go about it is to interact with the same people that the menstrual product group interacted with. I believe it was Res Life or something along those lines. And so I think we're doing a little thing here. If USG like fronts the beginning bill and pilots it, then maybe it could be a consistent thing that happens. But I also just don't see a reason why they would say no to something like that, as long as it's, you know, in a safe position or something that isn't just, you know, dangerous to students. I think it would be something that genuinely would protect the student body. So, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Hi everybody, my name is Evelyn Maravilla, or Evie, and I'm a double major political science and Italian language and literature from Lake Tahoe, California, which is like a really small town in Northern California, if you know it. And anyways, last semester I had the great privilege of being a class of 2029 senator, and it was amazing, and I had so much fun. But along with this, it's brought so many opportunities. And one of my proudest moments this year in USG, if you don't know what senators do, we pass a lot of proposals, as I assume you have picked up on from Henry's speech. But one of my proudest proposals that I got to pass was with my fellow Senator Dominic, and it was a proposal to implement a pilot program for extending the hours of the marketplace, of the dining hall. This was a huge proposal, but also needs continuous work and continuous conversation with admin. So if re-elected, I would love to continue that conversation with admin and trying to get this pilot program passed for our dining hall so we can collect real student feedback and real student data to try to implement new hours in the marketplace. And to further this, if re-elected, and if we're able to implement new hours in the dining hall, I would love to continue this to other dining locations on campus and hear student feedback on that as well. And another really awesome opportunity I got was actually recently, a couple weeks ago, I went to oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, 1 second. The New York Student Government Conference at Barnard. And this was basically just a bunch of people from different student governments around the New York area, CUNY, SUNYs, Barnard, obviously. And this was an amazing experience, and we got to talk to student governments from the local areas and see what they're doing differently and how we can improve our school. And I gathered so much information from this, one of which being that a lot of student governments have so much more conversation with admin, and Barnard actually has, each senator has their own administration or dean, person working in faculty, that helps them throughout their entire campaign. And I would love to bring this to Fordham. And anyways, I have had just amazing experiences as a senator this year, and I want to continue that work and continue giving back to this awesome community and this amazing school.
Hello. First I want to say I'm also from Northern California, so it's awesome to see the representation. San Francisco area.
Oh,
so I definitely
awesome.
So first I'm going to ask the same question that I asked Henry, which is, what do you think the current biggest issue concerning Fordham students is?
Yeah. I think a really big issue that we face is just our our connection to administration. I feel like we don't have enough conversations. And even when we pass proposals in USG, a lot of them don't actually go through, or nothing really happens with them. And I feel like that's a huge issue. So as I said, Student Government Conference, there I learned that so many other student governments have direct conversations, weekly, monthly meetings with administration or with a specific dean. And I feel like that would better USG and Fordham as a whole to just have a more connected student government, student body, student government to administration. It would facilitate so many more conversations and get so much more done.
Regarding that, do you think that's something that the administration is open to doing and that's feasible for them to make the time to do?
I mean, I would hope so, is my real answer. But I feel like yes, I feel like they should have the time and make more time for their student body, because that is what they're here to do. And I feel like it's such a simple solution to just have maybe like, if one specific dean, let's say the dean of or the head of facilities, like meets with the VP of facilities and dining like every week or every month. I feel like they have time in their schedules to make an hourly meeting every once in a while, and it would just like, again, facilitate so much more connection and conversation.
And then regarding your initiative to expand marketplace hours and possibly the hours of other dining locations, have you spoken with the administration at all on how they would get the staff to extend those hours and whether they'd be able to have the funding to pay the staff for the extended hours?
So both me and Dominic are both on the facilities and dining committee, and we actually have bi-weekly meetings with dining. So it's been a conversation with them that for a really, really long time. And the VP of dining, facilities and dining right now has, I want to say weekly chats with dining. And so I've been to one or two of them. And they said it's something they're super open to, and a pilot would gather real data and see when if students are eating later or earlier in the CAF. And so with that, I feel like they said funding is a real issue to pay the workers, but it's something if maybe we have like late night hours where the CAF is only like partially open or something like that. But a pilot program would be perfect. Dining has told us in our meetings that the pilot program would be perfect for this, to gather real data so they could actually implement it and see if it would be worth it.
Majoring at finance at the Belly School of Business, and I want to talk about, so I'm a recent spring transfer, and I can experience firsthand how hard it's been adjusting to college life when it comes to like balancing work and activities, classes, and responsibilities. I've currently been a part of USG Students Experience Committee, where I've interacted with different club suites. I've interacted with different people in regards to the events we operate. So we're currently setting up a mural thing up at the 3rd floor of McShane, and then I've been at the Beacon Exemplar, where we presented awards to the facilities. So I've interacted with a lot of the student body in general, and one main issue that consistently stands out is the limited mailroom hours. Many students, including myself, struggles to pick up mail and packages because of the hours that often conflicts with our own personal schedules. That is why my main goal is simple and pretty focused, extending mailroom hours. This change would give students more flexibility and reduce stress in regards to balancing time to go to mailroom hours, and it's also very more convenient to the student body. It is a realist improvement that can benefit a large portion of the student body. Beyond that, I want to be someone who listens and represents the student body's concern. And I think being new to Fordham in general, it gives me a fresh perspective on how I can really integrate myself into the community and be able to help my own class, and as well as student body in general in the graduating class. I think extending mailroom hours, it really comes down to being convenient, and so it puts less stress on students in general. And I feel also too, I know, basically I know a lot, parents, a lot of times they send mail or they send packages to us just so to give the ease of the mind. And not being able to go to mailroom hour at a reasonable hour, to obtain those mail, it would really, it kind of messes with your mood, it's not really super flexible, and I think just being on Senate, it would give me a chance and opportunity to be able to propose this idea to extend the mailroom hours. And I would definitely really want to advocate for change in matters that and positively impact the student body in general.
So you said that one of the biggest concerns of the student body is the mailroom hours. Are there any other concerns and issues concerning student body that you would like to look into if you were on USG?
Yes, definitely. I would say a big part, especially amongst college students, is students' mental health. I believe that being away from parents majority of the time, being in a new environment, trying to adjust into adulthood, a lot of that puts a lot of strain on anyone's personal mental mentality. And then so I think just being more focused on like the student body, how they are physically and mentally, and be able to make changes that positively impact and make student life easier and more convenient for them, to put less stress and to like reduce stress, and to be able to like make them be more focused and just like be more lenient about their mental health.
And then regarding changing the mailroom hours, have you spoken to anyone in the administration on if that would be feasible and whether they'd be able to staff the mailroom for extended hours or different hours and get the funding to do that?
So I currently contacted some employees, like students who actually work in the mailroom, and I know a lot of the mailroom is mainly student-based, like they run the organization, and so I believe it's definitely feasible to obtain more employees just to like run it for a few more extra hours. Or like I'm not saying like extend it for an extreme period of time, maybe just a few, like 1 or 2 more hours in general, because I know right now currently it's at 3. So I think being able to just extend that for a few more hours when people's like classes may like conflict with their schedules to be able to do minimum hours, it would definitely be better.
Good evening. I'm Dom. I think a lot of you know me, but if not, very nice to meet you. I've had the incredible honor of serving in the class of 2029 Senate for the past year, and as Evie and Henry have alluded to, 2 of the major things that I've been able to work on are co-authoring the initiative to extend marketplace hours, and also being an integral part of the research and the conversations with the administration that have went into the contraceptive proposal, which is the closest to success of any iteration to change this policy in Fordham's history, which is a really exciting prospect for USG. Beyond that, I've served on our governing documents committee for the past year to revise our bylaws and other internal documents that modernize how USG works. And I also serve as a finance lead on the facilities and dining committee, where we are currently drafting new initiatives to have a commuter student dining scholarship, and also make it easier for clubs to use Ram Dining and for catering, and also receive money from Ram Dining to cater their events. I've had the incredible privilege of witnessing USG work for change and be a part of that in the past year. But what I've also been able to notice is that we can do better. We can do even more work in USG, and we can reform USG to bring more change for everyone at Fordham. And that's really why I'm running for election. Not just to finish the job on those initiatives, which of course it needs to get done, and I think all of us up here have echoed that. But to strengthen USG so that we can implement initiatives more quickly in the future, and that we can have a greater impact for all students. Thus, my platform centers around reforming USG, have a greater sense of accountability and efficiency within USG, to formalize USG's standing with the administration to make those conversations more productive and efficient, and to foster increased engagement from all students at Fordham that will increase USG's visibility and standing within the Fordham community. Through these internal reforms, a bridge between USG administration and making USG more accessible, I believe that we can have a stronger and more effective USG to be able to tackle more big issues like contraceptive distribution that had been tried and failed for many decades, and now a concerted USG effort is able to get very close to bringing real change to campus. I believe it's possible for us to do that on other big issues, such as the filming policy and other journalism practices on campus, for example, such as harm reduction vending machines, which was an initiative that really stalled last year because of some admin roadblocks. I believe that if we work to reform and strengthen USG, that we'll be able to bring those and more things across the finish line, and long term create an organization that can truly advocate for student well-being. Thank you very much.
How are you?
Great, how are you?
Pretty good. So what do you think is the current biggest issue concerning students at Fordham?
I think all of the things brought up are very big issues, but I think honestly, and this is not just a Fordham issue, this is across the country. There was a major Yale report about this the other day. It is the cost of college. It is affordability. The tuition just increased by around 4.5% again at Fordham, which is a trend across America. And of course, there's nothing USG can directly do to lower tuition. As much as everyone would love that, we had a tabling the other day, and the number one response on the sticky notes was lower tuition. And I'm sure all of us would love if USG had a pathway or a lever to lower tuition. That's not realistic. But what I think is realistic is pushing for more transparency in the rationale behind these tuition raises, in the communications from the university to students about it. I don't think the recent email was received very well by students from conversations with a number of members of the community. And yes, they present at SLC meetings about the budget and about tuition increases, but unfortunately, for various reasons, the attendance at those meetings is very, very low. I think that the university should look for ways to communicate more effectively with students about these issues, because it is a huge issue for students, and it affects everyone. It affects everyone's family, and I think that there is more they can realistically do to communicate with students and try to reassure them about the direction that the cost of Fordham is going.
And so you talked about a lot of the proposals that you have worked on and initiated during your time so far on USG, but regarding the new proposals and initiatives you want to start, how would you go about increasing student engagement with USG?
Absolutely. I think to echo Senator Carson's, the town hall that we had about, it was about the contraceptive issue, but it was USG State of the Students Town Hall, and representatives from all 11 committees were in the back of the room receiving suggestions, engaging with students, and it really was an incredible event with incredible turnout. And I think that should be every semester. There should be a USG town hall, ideally near the beginning of the semester, to get real feedback from students and to center USG's mission for that semester around specifically what students are really saying. And the town halls are incredible for a number of reasons. A, you get real feedback from students. They can come and speak their mind in real time and be heard in front of a large USG audience. And B, it raises the profile of USG. There were 2 front page articles in the RAM and the Observer about the town hall. One of the assistant deans was at the town hall and just saw the outpouring of support for what USG is doing. And so I think events like that to really anchor USG are incredibly important. And then just increased tablings and events that bring multiple committees together, or that USG works with other clubs or with other Big 4 organizations to just put on more events and increase visibility within the community, I think is very important.
And then regarding your initiative to increase collaboration with the administration, how would you go about doing that?
Absolutely. This is something that there have already been conversations between the current executive board and administration about, and I think it's while tuition and affordability is probably the biggest issue facing the Fordham community, I think the biggest issue facing USG and what we can realistically do to serve students better is improving our relationship with administration and improving that pipeline. And like Senator Marvell was talking about at the Bernard Student Government Conference that I also had the honor of going to, it was incredible to hear other student governments. They have monthly meetings directly with the president, for example, at Lehman College, right up the road from here. At Lehman College student government gets their USG ratifies the entire university budget, and if they don't ratify it, the university has to go back and work with them on the budget. So I'm not saying that overnight we should push for that level of power at Fordham. What I'm saying is that it's clear from many other universities that this is something that works. This is something that's been implemented across other schools. At Cornell, for example, every time they pass a proposal, it immediately goes to the dean of students, and they have a certain period to give feedback and act on those proposals. And I think what we need to do is, just like with the contraceptive policy, for example, you do a ton of research about what other peer institutions are doing, and then you go and present it to the people that matter, to the dean of students, to the board of trustees if necessary, and say this is what other schools are doing
Fordham needs to seriously consider this to quote unquote keep up with its peer institutions, and the relationship between administration and student government at Fordham is definitely something where we are quite behind many other institutions. And I think when presented with that, and when you put a concrete proposal on the table to create a true relationship between administration and USG, to create a period for them to review proposals and have specific people and a specific timeline to get feedback. When we do the work and then we go into these conversations with them, I believe you can get a lot accomplished from just being prepared, being willing to compromise with them, but at the same time being sure of your research, being sure of your data, and knowing when to keep advocating, because this would enable USG to really do a lot more for the students, which is what I think everyone wants.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Eli George. I am currently representing Gabelli as a class of 2029 senator. I'm a finance major and a business law minor on the pre-law track. Currently, I am on Gabelli Dean's Council. I'm on the outreach committee, so I work with our fellow Dean's Council students to help integrate our Fordham community with the outside Bronx community. I'm also on the operations committee. We work towards improving and helping existing clubs become the best form they possibly can. As a current senator, first semester I worked on a meal plan optimization proposal helping commuter and off-campus students get better access to meal plans. As Senator Dahm mentioned, we know that tuition and cost here at Fordham is only going to rise. And so one of the big things that I would like to focus on is unity here at Fordham. I believe that as our political climate continues to be unknown, and as the climate around us in the world continues to be unknown, it's only better that Fordham students come together. And I think as the class of 2029, we just survived our freshman year, and it can be a lot going from high school to college. On the operations committee, one of the big things I pushed for this year was more activity. We passed spike ball club, pickleball club, and I believe that those are two major steps to what students here at Fordham want. And a lot of students were surprised to know we didn't have either of those. And so I think that speaks to how we need to get students more active and involved on campus. I'm also a current intern at POTS right off campus, a community health and food shelter. And I think that volunteer opportunities need to be increased here at Fordham, especially as freshman students now becoming sophomores. It's our time to establish ourselves here in the Bronx community. And I think that while we are invading campus, it's super important that we become involved with the people around us. And so whether that's volunteering at places like POTS or other volunteer organizations, it's super important. Additionally, one of the big things I ran on last year that I accomplished was integrating AI into our time here at Fordham. A part of the Gabelli School Business Dean's Council, we've just heard that they're piloting a program called the AI Business Hub. And I'm proud to say that I can help work initiate that. Essentially what it is that students here at Fordham are now going to get the opportunity to get AI certifications. We know that the job market is only getting more scarier because of AI, but there is a way to conquer it, and that's getting more certification experience for what employers want. Additionally, currently and hopefully next week, we'll be passing an FCRH mentorship program, similar to the FAM program at Gabelli. Again, just looking for mentors to help underclassmen. I think that's a big portion of how we felt coming in, and I believe it's important to replicate that. And yeah, I think that was all quite important.
So first, what do you think is the current biggest issue concerning Fordham students?
So the biggest issue, like I just briefly mentioned, I think is unity here on campus. I think especially as incoming freshman students, we all kind of felt nervous, obviously not knowing anybody, but now as sophomores, we've kind of hopefully established our groups. One of the big things I worked on in the operations committee was some of the cultural clubs. So we passed Dominican Students Association, which we'd never seen before. And I think we're seeing a big presence from a lot of the cultural clubs on campus, Food Park, and a couple more, just giving their presence. And I think that's important, especially for an international community, which we're trying to get here at Fordham, or people just from different backgrounds.
What do you think unity looks like on Fordham's campus?
I think unity, in the simplest terms, just means coming together, whether it's culturally, whether it's about tuition. We know everybody here is feeling that. It's been touched on multiple times. Whether it's about academics, we have tutoring services, which I think a lot of people still to this day don't know that we have for free. We have math help, we have writing help. So I think unity in its simplest terms is just helping each other come together.
And then you said that you want to increase volunteer opportunities for students. How would you go about doing that?
Yeah, so I think there's a gap. I think when a lot of people come to Fordham, there's a perception, a stereotype about the community we live in. And I think a lot of that is rooted in falsehood. I think the way to dispel that is through volunteer programs. I think especially as a freshman and obviously now going into sophomore year, you're still dipping your toes kind of in the Bronx community, but I feel one of the best ways I've been able to adjust is through my work off campus. And so whether that's a volunteer database where students can go to easily seek opportunities, but speaking to an upperclassman mentor who's previously done it, I think there's a lot of ways to implement a better level of transparency.
Thank you so much.
Hello everyone, my name is Jackson Barberis. Currently I'm a marketing major I'm transferring to biology on a pre-law track from Vernon Hills, Illinois. Actively right now I am already in the committee for student experience, so I've been given a brief introduction to USG, kind of smaller scale. But from that and building off of it, I've decided that I wanted to run for United Student Government Classic 2029 Senate, obviously. And so my goal, if put in this position, would be, of course, to represent and support the class of 2029 and make sure all voices can be heard and represented. But I do have one major reform I'm looking at, and that is hopefully to change Fordham's guest and visitation policy. Currently, their policy for students visiting different dormitories after hours and during hours is governed by locked doors, and after hours, it's governed by a physical piece of paper that needs to be signed in the presence of an active resident, making someone who lives in the building come all the way down to the security desk to sign their name and for you to sign yours, just to enter. This system doesn't serve as just an inconvenience, but it is a barrier to the student experience as a whole. Students should be able to freely access each other and be in different spaces around campus without the restrictions of locked doors and unnecessary security. And this just serves as a huge hassle. These stipulations for residential students returning from late night study sessions, on or off campus jobs, and many other Roseville activities. And yeah, like I said, the locking the dormitory residents during the day and after hours, although there isn't a physical sign-in enforced during the day, there still is the restriction on dormitory entrances remaining in this place. And after hours, it gets even stricter with security guards there who I myself and I know others have experienced getting fined because they have fully signed someone out, but the guard might not sign them out. So they've been given fines for this, for the lack of awareness that happens in this place. But yeah, this I think is a really big issue, and I'd love to be given the opportunity in USG to work on it. Thank you.
So as I've asked everyone else, what do you think is the current biggest issue concerning Fordham students?
Yeah, I think some of the other candidates obviously brought up really good topics and points. Obviously, I think the student issue with the policy on guest and visitation is a huge issue. Just talking to people around campus informally, I've heard different stories and opinions on it, and the wide consensus is that it really is an inconvenience and an unnecessary hassle. I do understand the school's policy with making people sign in and out for safety reasons, of course, but not only is it an antique system of signing a piece of paper, there's already a system in place for students to scan into the dorms. So I really personally don't see a reason why students shouldn't be able to use their already existing Fordham IDs to scan into any dormitory that they would like, given that they are a Fordham student and should be given that opportunity to interact with other students in that way.
And if you were to initiate a proposal to amend that policy, what pushback do you anticipate getting from the administration, if any, and how would you combat that pushback?
Yeah, I imagine there would have a lot of questions and possible issues. One of those might be, well, what happens to the security guards that are stationed there from 10 o'clock to, I believe it's around 6 in the morning. And my answer to that would be, I'm not saying get rid of the guards. I actually think they're a very important part of this, because if you just let students scan in whenever, obviously that leads to different things like potential damages or students perhaps staying the night in dorms that aren't theirs. But I think the way to utilize this the most effectively is have the guards there and making sure students are individually signing in when they walk in with their IDs, and then when they making sure that students aren't just holding the door open and letting groups of people coming in. And also in regards to damages or students staying the night in other people's dorms or doing other things that they shouldn't be doing according to Fordham guidelines. The already in place is the stipulation for students to sign out by 3 in the morning. And I think that can stay the same, just the students should be able to use the already existing scan-in features that are on both sides of the doors to scan in, yes, which additionally tracks who is coming in and logs them, but to be able to do that in reverse and scan out as well, so that the university will know who's in what dorm, if they're leaving and if they're not leaving. And that's why I think the security guards are important, to make sure that's happening, right? Instead of people just coming in and out whenever without some form of guidelines.
Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Julia Walker, and I am running to be a class of 2029 Fordham College Senator. I'm from the Bay Area, California, and I'm double majoring in urban studies and visual arts. Over the past year, I've been heavily involved on campus as a member of the United Student Government Sustainability Committee, where I've worked very closely with the events and communications team to plan major initiatives like Sustainability Week and Earth Week. I've also designed promotional materials for those events to increase student engagement. Beyond that, I've also been active in clubs like The Paper and Rod's Coffee House, where I've collaborated with a wide range of students and supported important student-run spaces. These experiences have given me a strong understanding of what students care about and where we can improve as a school. As class senator, one of my top priorities will be student safety. I plan to advocate to make the Ram Van free during late night hours on weekends, from 10 p.m. to 2:30 a.m. The Ram Van is meant to be a safe transportation option, yet students are charged at the exact times they need it the most. Because of this, students may choose to take the subway late at night, which can be unsafe, especially if you're traveling alone. I plan to work with the finance office and campus administration to explore a pilot program for free or heavily reduced late night rides, ensuring that students are not forced to choose between cost and safety. I also want to make academic planning more transparent by making the transfer credit policy easier for students to understand. Students shouldn't have to guess how or which of their AP, IB, or community college credits will count or transfer, especially when they've worked so hard for those. I plan to work with the transfer and academic departments to create a clear, more accessible guidelines so students can plan ahead with confidence and avoid unnecessary confusion. Finally, I also want to improve how we communicate as a campus. I will collaborate with other student government committees to create a centralized student government Instagram account that promotes all major events in one place. This will make it not only easier for students to stay informed ahead of time before these events occur, but they'll also increase attendance at these school-funded events and give clubs more visibility. Overall, my goal is simple: to improve student life in ways that are practical, achievable, and impactful. I am committed to advocating for safety, academic success, and better communication. I would be honored to represent the class of 2029. Thank you.
Hi. Hello.
I know, it's at San Francisco.
Yeah, I'm in the Bay Area as well, so it's closer to you. So first, what do you think is the current biggest issue concerning Fordham students?
So as I mentioned earlier, I do think one of the biggest issues is communication and the school's transparency with their students. And I think this shows up in my platform in multiple ways. I mean, honestly, before coming to campus, the way that Fordham talked about the RAM van made it sound like it was a free service for students, and coming here and learning that wasn't the case, especially when my parents were most excited for me to be able to travel safely between campuses late at night, that was a bit of a surprise. So I think that in that regard, the school should do more before students commit, or even just before they get to campus, a little bit more information on that. I also think, especially with the transfer credit policy, I've personally been dealing with some community college credits and trying to get credit for them for the past year. And I think that multiple deans in different departments in different schools have told me different things. And I think as a whole, if the school says that they will accept credits, I think it needs to be clear about specifically which credits they will accept and different ways that the process can go, like who is the best person to talk to, when I think it's not very clear on the website as they currently have it. And I mean, there's so many clubs and student government and so many committees are doing events all of the time, and I think the school does send out a weekly newsletter, but typically they send it during the week when some of the events have already happened. And I also know that as someone who heavily manages the sustainability Instagram, there are so many club events that I personally wouldn't hear about because I don't follow those accounts. So I think having a better digital communication platform will make sure that students not only show up to more events, but also that school funding is being used to support and bring together as many students as it can.
Regarding the making RAM van free at night, how would you work with the administration to do that, and where do you anticipate the funding for that would come from?
I think funding in the cost is definitely going to be the biggest barrier in making this free, and I think definitely working with the finance office and the transportation department to get a sense of what is feasible is the first way to start. I also do think that the way that Fordham markets the RAM van is that it is the safest mode of transportation for Fordham students, and so I think the school has a responsibility, if that's how they're marketing it, to not have it be more expensive than the subway, especially if this is a safety program that the school is offering. I think the first step after talking to administration is having a town house like there was for the contraceptive plan. I think a lot of students came out and showed that they wanted to see this happen. And I think the school needs to hear that students who, like me, work late at night and have to take some way to get back into Rose Hill, that this would really be beneficial to our daily life.
And then regarding the transfer credits, what would making those more transparent for students look like?
Yeah, so as the website currently stands, each tab for AP, IB, and then community college credit has, specifically for the community college credit, has 7 very short bullet points as to what the acceptance guidelines are. And as for me, who was told that before committing to Fordham that my credits met all those guidelines, coming here and finding out that another dean says actually they don't, I think it just shows that each of those bullet points need to be expanded and specifically outline what credits Fordham is willing to take. So before one even gets to campus, they know exactly what to expect and they're not blindsided when they do come. And I think a part of that is also including examples of credits that have transferred in the past. So students doing similar programs like in California or Washington, where there are a lot of community college programs, can see if their program that they did is similar, and if so, they know exactly what to expect.
Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, I'm Maya. I'm from upstate New York, and my major is political science. None of you really know me, but I'm part of Model UN, and I also do youth empowerment program, which helps local kids in the Bronx every week. So I go and visit my mentee. Helping others is an integral part of who I am. And I knew it would be a part of my life in college and beyond, and that's why I decided to run for USG class of 2029 senator. Getting accustomed to college life is hard enough. My goal is to make the transition for new students and the life of existing students as simple as possible. As a member of USG at Fordham University, my plan would focus on reducing student stress. One of my petitions would be to modify the rules surrounding students entering dorm buildings that they do not live in. Most dorm buildings across the country do not require students to sign in at other buildings after certain hours. I believe that Fordham should follow suit. It's a hassle for many students to drop what they're doing, go down to the entrance, and sign their friend in. Then if the student doesn't remember to sign their friend out, it's a $15, increasing to $45 fine for every missed signature, or if his friend stays past 3 a.m. And I've paid the fine, and it's not fun. In addition to this policy modification, a guest pass for Fordham students staying in a different dorm should be revised as well. Many colleges across the nation do not require students to obtain a guest pass to stay in another student's dorm building. Plans can change, and being flexible is a part of life, which makes the 48-hour policy for students to get a pass approved ineffective when living on the same campus. Another objective of mine would be to make our dining dollars and meal swipes transferable to friends. There's a large discrepancy between the meal plans students have at Fordham, and students with certain plans often run out of swipes or dining dollars faster than others. I believe students should have the ability to electronically transfer some of their meal swipes or dining dollars to other students. In addition, Fordham provides student athletes with access to mental health and meditation services through partnerships with platforms such as Headspace and The Zone, which offers tools to manage stress, improve focus, and support students' overall well-being. However, I believe this should be provided to all Fordham students because we all are struggling with mental health. College is stressful. Why shouldn't Fordham University make it as easy as possible for students to be successful? With these ideas and my dedication to Fordham as a student, I believe that I can make a difference at this campus and beyond.
So first, as I've been asking everyone else, what do you think is the biggest current issue concerning Fordham students?
I think the biggest issue is definitely making life as easy as possible for students and being able to manage it with the time that we have at school.
And then regarding your what you want to do with the guest passes and having students sign in and scan their IDs for their dorms, or sign in for their dorms, sorry. How would you work with the administration to implement that proposal?
I would definitely stress how in the past the administration has become more open with like sleeping over, especially as we've seen in the past few years. The administration has allowed for like different gender people to stay over in different dorms now. So I feel like there's already progress being made. And I feel like with that progress, there could be even more progress being made if we see that students are just, if they're already living on campus, there's not too much of a threat. We still have security guards. We still have RAs like in the buildings. So I feel like if we show that there's not too much on the line here and that we can be trusted as adults that we are, it would be a very simple thing to implement.
And then you mentioned with the student athletes that they have access to some of these resources that other students don't have access to. How would you work with the administration to provide other students with access to those, and what would the funding for that look like?
I think as we've seen with the tuition increase and with housing increase that we do have a very large budget among campus. So I feel like that's one aspect of the funding, but I feel like especially with student athletes getting that, I feel like equality is a big part of like Fordham and the Jesuit values. So I feel like by showing that there is a discrepancy between what different students received based upon what they bring to Fordham, that's not fair for many students. So I feel like just showing the administration that every student is deserving of the same resources, regardless of what they bring to this school or what they bring to this school, that they all deserve equal opportunities. Thank you so much.
Hey guys, my name's Reagan Healy to be exact. I'm running for your class of 2028 senator after being a senator this past year for the class at Rose Hill, by the way. I'm a student at Rose Hill where I study international studies as well as political science, and I'm also having a concentration in American Catholic studies, so that's pretty cool. This past year as your senator, I actually passed and created the proposal to put menstrual products in dorm buildings. So now you guys can access these products whenever you go down to the laundry rooms, which I think is honestly incredible. And I think this should have been done sooner for sure because these are things we need. And as senators, as people on USG, these are things that we need to do. For this upcoming year, some other things I've done this year, I'm a writer for the Fordham Undergraduate Law Review. I have also served as Vice Chair of Communications and Marketing. I am also on the Events and Communications for sustainability, and these are just things that have heightened my ability to respond to the needs on campus and be there for the people that need me. For this upcoming year, I want to expand Fordham's accessibility, comfortability, and wellness through implementing strategies that focus on student well-being. So my first course of action would be to expand the resources that Valley School business students are providing to Rose Hill students. So this would mean that I would expand on programs like PPD, which are given to Valley students that Rose Hill students do not have, which I think is insane, but it's okay. I would do this program through specialized information on specific major and subjects of study, since the Career Center currently has more generalized interaction with these types of majors. Expanding the PPD program would enable Rose Hill students to have a greater understanding of opportunities presented to them. So I would also expand access to facilities on campus. So this means with what I just did with the menstrual products, I would try to put first aid kits, paper towels, soap, things like that we need as students living on campus in our buildings. I think we pay enough to be here, and I think these are things that we deserve to have on us. I would, of course, work with Res Life as well as RHA to put this into work as well. And for my last thing, I would also enhance the knowledge of specific resources and events on and off campus for Fordham students. So I think that students should have easy access to ways they can improve their academic well-being. So this would be Career Center offers mentoring with Aid with Handshake, career fairs, and I think that through USG I would expand on these platforms through co-sponsoring workshops and having a Career Center fair that explores the full scope of opportunities and majors. The Career Center did have a major exploration fair, but it's necessary to expand on this in order for freshmen and sophomores to become more informed. Because I think as freshmen and sophomores getting into campus, it's important to know what you want to do and to have opportunities to do what you want to do. Thank you.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good.
So what do you think is the current biggest issue concerning Fordham students?
I honestly think this is something that's not really talked about a lot on USG, but I think it's the environment surrounding internships and getting jobs. I think that, especially in schools, I feel like we have a very, it's not what you know, but who you know, which I think is kind of hard to deal with, especially as students, because we are focusing on our academics so much and trying to get that to its highest capability, but it's hard to get involved with internships and off-campus things that we can, explore. So I think that this would be a big opportunity to put more energy and resources to. I think it would be kind of more opportunistic to try to put Career Center and USG together to try to expand on this. Like what I was saying with PPD, I think that we can definitely give our Rose Hill students more resources. Right now, I think with PPD, they have advisor one-on-ones. They have resume workshops, LinkedIn workshops. I even take this class. It's called Symposium. I think you guys know it's the law symposium. And you guys get it's crazy. The alumni that come here, there's people that went to Georgetown and all these different people that did their law studies there. And I think it's really important to get these different opportunities and different people to expand what we have on campus and expand who we can get connected with. So I think that this would be a great opportunity.
And then regarding wanting to increase the things that students have access to in the dorms, like what you did this semester with the menstrual products proposal. I know with the menstrual products proposal, USG, RHA and Res Life is paying for the first round of them, and then facilities will take over the cost. Do you think that, or do you know if the university facilities has the ability to cover the costs of other items being added to the dorms? And if not, where would that come from, that money?
Well, I don't think that it should necessarily be a question of whether they have it or not. I think this is something important that our students deserve to have. So right now, I don't think that USG or Res Life would cover this because we have already done this program with the menstrual products. And I think if we see this heightened, content with this program, I think that that would kind of insinuate that we want more of programs like this. I think that Fordham could definitely be able to cover the cost of just, some paper towels and first aid kits and soap and stuff like that. So I think that it necessarily wouldn't be a question of can they, I think it's a question of will they.
And then regarding the internships, what would it look like increasing student access to internships and the connections there?
Well, what I was saying with PPD, I think we would get students more involved with their like with administration and different career center opportunities. Right now, I think the fact that you have to register, and also I was on the wait list for this class when I was in freshman year, and I feel like it would have been super, super helpful if I were to have this class, like the symposium, freshman year. So I think that if we have opportunities like this earlier on and opportunities that we have easy access to, that would be great. I definitely think that one-on-ones with administrators and different people in different departments would be a great help to us, especially when it comes to like major specific things, because at times I feel like when you go on Handshake and stuff like that, it's like you get every option you could possibly imagine that doesn't necessarily fit you. So I think, yeah, that would be my comments. Thank you so much.
Hello everyone, my name is Jason Bowe and I am rerunning for the Gabelli School of Business Class of 2028 Senate position. During my short time serving this position, I've really enjoyed seeing what goes on behind student initiatives and meeting new peers. For the future, I strive to play a bigger role next semester and present an official proposal. Here's what I've done so far. I have contacted the IT department about the possibility of adding extension cords and charging stations to the second floor of McShane for those to charge their devices while lounging in the booths. Unfortunately, they have not responded, but I will write a follow-up message. My other proposal is a university-wide policy that recognizes academic and professional interviews as an excused absence. If not for all students, then at least for Gabelli. This idea came from my roommate, who wasn't excused for an interview for Deloitte. This was news to me because I personally never experienced it, but leaving the policy up to individual professors creates inconsistency and can lead to unfair outcomes. For my second proposal, I must give full credit to Professor Haber for thinking of the idea. It's rather new, as in she pitched it to me about 7 hours ago, so I apologize if it's not thoroughly explained. Today, my CCIP group presented our presentation to her, and we noted how difficult it was to find high quality and relevant images for our slides. This led to the idea of her having Fordham create a curated library of professional, university-owned stock photos that students and faculty could use for presentations. In the long term, the university could even explore licensing select images publicly, create an additional source of revenue, while also strengthening Fordham's brand presence. As a senator, I don't want this seat just to be a student-only space. When a Gabelli professor shapes your education, that matters to me too. I want to be a voice for everyone invested in our class experience. Thank you for your time and consideration, and I hope to see you next year as the Gabelli School of Business Class of 2028 Senator.
So what do you think is the current biggest issue concerning Fordham students?
Okay, so my real answer was taken by Dominic, unfortunately, because I do think that we really need to be more transparent about what's happening with our budget. But he already explained that very well, so I'm not going to get into that. But I think the second big problem is more specific for Gabelli, at least. I know a lot of students have issues with the math department, and they feel that a lot of professors are not treating students equally, responding to messages, and overall not having a pleasant classroom experience. But the problem is that there is really nothing students can do about this. Those students may be able to report problems about certain professors. Many students don't see a real change regardless of the reports and accusations about a lot of teachers within the math department.
And regarding your initiative that you want to start to put more outlets on the second floor of McShane, I know you said you haven't heard back from the IT department yet, but how do you think it would work to put those outlets in, and do you think it would be feasible, just technologically, and also where do you think the funding would come from for that?
Yeah, so I think that is definitely a major concern that when I presented this idea to a few students, they did say that they just renovated McShane, so the concerns for that is that they would have to either replace the booths or that extension cords could be a fire hazard. So definitely there are concerns that this may not be possible at all. But in terms of finance, I'm not exactly sure where the funding would be. It could either be IT, but I will definitely try to contact more people to see if this is a genuine possibility.
Thank you so much.